Good evening, everybody. We are meeting in the session of Organon again with the pharmacy part. In the yesterday's lecture, we have started discussing about the preparation of the new method introduced by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann in the 6th edition of Organon of Medicine, that is 50 millesimal scale. And how to prepare the 50 millesimal scale potency or LM scale potency that he has tried to mention over there. In fact, he has tried his level best to make it more and more simplified so that everyone can understand exactly how this LM scale is prepared. Some part of it we have finished in yesterday's lecture. We have learned that how a mother solution of the medicine in order to prepare the 50 millesimal scale, that how one can prepare. So he has mentioned that whatever medicine you have to prepare in 50 millesimal scale, that you have to first triturate up to the 3C potency. So you have to make it a 3C potency of any medicine, and how that 3C potency is made to make that also he has mentioned in the footnote, and we have learned that procedure in detail in yesterday's lecture. I don't want to waste time again with the same method, but we'll start right from the third 3C potency and how the mother solution is prepared, that will revise. So whenever you prepare 3C potency, only 1 grain of it, of the powder of that 3C potency medicine, which you have to dissolve in 500 drops of mixture of 1 part of alcohol and 400 parts, 4 parts of the distilled water, that solution, and you have to put that, out of which 1 drop you have to put in a vial. So you have prepared mother solution 500 ml, and that is a mother solution for preparing the LM scale. Out of which, if you want to prepare LM1, that is 0/1 potency, then you have to take 1 drop of this 500 ml solution. You have to add 100 drops of pure alcohol inside it. After adding 100 drops of pure alcohol, you have to give 100 succussions, and the potency which we develop is labeled by the name of first potency, LM1 or 0/1. So this is the medicine in the first degree of dynamization, what he says, with which small sugar globules may then be moistened and quickly spread on blotting paper to dry and kept in well-corked vial with the sign of 1 degree of potency. And this is up to this we have learned in yesterday's lecture. So when you prepared LM1 potency or 0/1 potency, it is prepared in liquid form. You have to convert it into the globules form. Then he has mentioned over there in the footnote that 1 grain globules, 100 which you have to take. But the quantity 1 grain was used during Hahnemannian time. If 100 grains of globules is there, it is equalized to the 500 globules of poppy-sized globules are there. So he has mentioned that in the footnote regarding it, that it is, if you are considering it 100 grain globules, means 1 grain globule is equal to 5 globules, and that 100 grain globules becomes a 500 globules of a poppy size. 1 drop of that solution, LM1, is sufficient to dissolve, to put over there on 500 poppy-sized globules to dissolve that. 1 drop only is needed. That is what he has said. And then what he says, immediately you have to take those, spread on the blotting paper so that they should not get moistened together and mat together and dissolve. So it should be dried up immediately on blotting paper. And then after that, you have to fill that in the cork and label by date. It is the globules prepared, 500 globules of LM1 scale. Now to go further, to prepare the second potency, now think over it. Out of 500 globules, if you are taking one globule, it means 1 by 500. Okay. Then again you have to dissolve that in 1 drop of a distilled water, and then that 1 drop plus 100 drops of the pure alcohol, and again give a 100 succussions. So 1 by 500 into 1 by 100 is equal to 1 by 50,000. 1 by 50,000 means 50 millesimal. You are increasing potency by 1 by 50,000 every time, giving 100 succussions to it. Now the medicine which you have prepared again is in a liquid form. That is LM2 potency or LM2 scale. Then again you have to prepare from that a globule forms. Then again take a 500 globules of a poppy size with 1 drop of that LM2 solution. Moisten those 500 globules and immediately put it on blotting paper. And after that, you put it in another bottle labeled by the name of the medicine followed by LM2 or 0 by 2. And same procedure you have to continue forward till you reach LM30, that is the last potency in LM scale. This is the procedure which he has mentioned over there. Yesterday we have finished up to that. We'll just go ahead. There are few footnotes are there which we have learned up to the footnote number 153. What he says in 154 that we'll learn. So what he says, this is the medicine in first degree of dynamization with which small sugar globules may then be moistened and quickly spread on the blotting paper to dry and kept in a well-corked vial with a sign of 1 degree potency. So now we'll read two footnotes, 153 and 54 again. They are prepared under supervision by confectioner from starch and sugar, and the small globules freed from the fine dusty particles by passing them through the sieve. Then they are put through a strainer that will permit only 100 to pass through the weighing 1 grain, the most serviceable size for the needs of the homeopathic physician. So that was the size available during Hahnemannian type, that was the 1 grain globule. Then what he says in 154, a small cylindrical vessel shaped like thimble, made of glass, porcelain or silver, with a small opening at the bottom in which globules are put to be medicated. They are moistened with some of the dynamized medicinal alcohol, stirred and poured out on blotting paper in order to dry them quickly. So with a 1 drop of that medicated solution of LM1 scale, you put it on that 100 grain globules, but instead of 100 grain globules, now we are having a poppy sized globules, which means 500 globules. Instead of 100 grain, 1 grain globules, you have a 500 poppy sized globules. So you put a 1 drop of it on it, and then immediately put it on the blotting paper, dry them properly, and put it in a glass bottle labeled by the 0 by 1 or 11. Now further he tells, now in the aphorism, only one globule of this is taken for further dynamization. Put it in a second new vial with a drop of water in order to dissolve it. So 1 globule out of 500 you have to take, put a 1 drop of water to dissolve that, and then with 100 drops of good alcohol and dynamized in the same way with 100 powerful succussion, and that becomes a LM2. So this procedure you have to continue till LM30. The footnote is there regarding that 155, and it is a big footnote where he explains exactly the relationship between grain globule and the 500 globules. According to the first directions, 1 drop of liquid of lower potency was to be taken to 100 drops of alcohol for higher potentization. This proportion of medicine of the attenuation to the medicine that is to be dynamite 100:1 was found altogether too limited to develop thoroughly and to a higher degree. The power of medicine by means of a number of such succussions without specially using great force of which very some experiments have convinced me. So earlier he used to use the centesimal scale, 1 drop of previous potency, 100 drops of alcohol and making 100 succussion. Now it never remains 50 millisimal. That was earlier method. Now he says it is not the method which I want to use. So according to new methods, now he says, but if only one such globule be taken, of which 100 weigh 1 grain, and dynamize it with 100 drops of alcohol, the proportion of 1 as to 50,000 and even greater will be had. For the 500 such globules can hardly absorb 1 drop for their saturation. So forget those things. Keep it in your mind. 1 grain, 100 globules is equal to 500 poppy-sized globules. 1 drop of water, 1 drop of medicine is sufficient to dissolve 500 grains of 500 poppy-sized globules. So you can medicate with 1 drop of that medicated solution, 500 globules, and immediately you have to put it on blotting paper. From that blotting paper, then after drying it up, you have to put it in the bottle, label, pack it with cork, and label it with LM1 scale. Then what he says further. With this disproportionate higher ratio between medicine and diluting medium, so many successive strokes of vial filled 2/3 of the alcohol can produce much greater development of power. But with so small a diluting medium as 100:1 of medicine, if many succussions by means of powerful machine are forced into it, medicines are then developed which, especially in the higher degrees of dynamization, act almost immediately, but with furious, even dangerous violence, especially in weakly patient, without having lasting mild reaction of vital principle. So earlier potency, the centesimal scale, when you used to use 100/1, it and applying 100 succussions every time, it used to become very stronger. That scale was not good for weakly mild patients where the susceptibility is not so good enough, where pathology is developed, and where you require a mild potency. That centesimal used to produce a difficulty. That centesimal used to give a big stroke, which might be can lead to a killous aggravation or something like that. So he prepared this 50 millisimal scale for the betterment of the patient. And then he adds, but the method described by me, on the contrary, means this 50 millisimal scale, produces medicines of highest development of power and mildest action. Underline this, mildest action. Most mild potency in your material in the homeopathy is the 50 millisimal. Mildest action, which, however, if well chosen, touches all suffering parts curatively. In acute fevers, the small doses of lowest dynamization degrees of these, thus perfected medicinal preparations, even of medicines of long continued action, for instance, belladonna, may be repeated in short intervals. So this, once you prepare 50 millisimal, you can repeat it many times without hesitation, because every time you are making it 1:50,000 dilution. So such a mild preparation is there which you can use safely. In the treatment of chronic diseases, it is the best to begin with the lowest degree of dynamization and when necessary, advance to the higher, even more powerful, but mildly acting degree. And that's why he says, even in chronic disease, you can repeat it without causing any further problem or aggravation, even in chronic pathological cases. And this is in contrast with the mm, centesimal scale, which he used to use earlier. So this is one thing which he has mentioned. And there is one star which has been mentioned over there regarding the suffering parts curatively. For that purpose, he has mentioned over there. So what he wants to add in that star, that we'll read. In very rare cases, notwithstanding almost full recovery of the health and with good vital strength, as an old annoying local trouble continuing undisturbed, it is wholly permitted and even indispensably necessary to administer in increasing doses the homeopathic remedy that has proved itself efficacious, but potentized to a very high degree by means of many succussions by hand. Such a local disease will often then disappear in a wonderful way. So he has mentioned that this method you can repeat, go ahead with higher dynamization, and with those succussions, when you put it in water and dissolve and give it to the patient, and with increasing succussion, the chronic disease, even pathological disease, will disappear without causing aggravation. So see, he has developed this wonderful method of preparation of medicine, and which he has introduced at the end in the 6th edition of Organ of Medicine. Now we'll turn again toward the aphorism. With this, alcoholic medicinal fluid globules are again moistened, spread upon blotting paper, and dried quickly. Put it in a well-stoppered vial and protected from heat and sunlight. This he has mentioned again and again, protected from heat and sunlight, because that disturbs the quality of a medicine. And given the sign 2 of the second potency. And in this way, the process is continued until the 29th is reached. Then with the 100 drops of alcohol, by means of 100 succussions, an alcoholic medicinal fluid is formed, with which the 30th dynamization degree is given to the properly moistened and dried sugar globules. So LM30 is the last potency in 50 millisievert scale. By means of this manipulation of crude drugs are produced preparations, which only in this way will reach the full capacity to forcibly influence the suffering parts of the sick organism. In this way, by means of similar artificial morbific affection, the influence of the natural disease on the life principle present within is neutralized. So if you go ahead with this method and applying drugs in this specific 50 millisievert scale, naturally, gradually, that original chronic disease which was there, the vital force which is under the influence of that disease, gradually again comes into the normal, and original disease will be neutralized. By means of this mechanical procedure, provided it is carried out regularly, according to the above teaching, a change is effected in the given drug when which in its crude state shows itself only a material, at times an unmedicinal material, but by means of such higher and higher dynamization, it is changed and supplies at last into spirit-like medicinal food power, which indeed in itself does not fall within our senses, but for which the medicinally prepared globule dry, but more so when dissolved in water, becomes the carrier, and in this condition manifests the healing power of this invisible force in a sick body. So what he explains over there, that medicine which you prepare in this manner, if you put it in water, dissolve it in water, and if you want to preserve it, you can add the alcohol over there. And if you give that dissolved medicine, it will touch to the maximum part of your flora, right from the mouth to the stomach, and get absorbed very easily. It touches the sentient nerves over there and starts acting quickly without causing any further aggravation. So the whole process which he has mentioned in order to explain what exactly the 50 millisievert scale is and how you can go ahead with this scale. Then there is a one footnote again, 156 footnote. There he has used footnote for the word spirit-like medicinal power. So what exactly he wants to explain in that footnote, that we'll go through. This assertions means एखाद्या गोष्टीविषयी fixed ठाम मत, very firm conviction. This assertion will not appear improbable If one considers that by means of this method of dynamization, the preparation thus produced, I have found after many laborious experiments and counter experiments to be the most powerful and at the same time mildest in action. See, again he has mentioned most powerful but mildest in action. That is as the most perfected. The material part of medicine is lessened with each degree of dynamization 50,000 times, and it incredibly increased in power, so that the further dynamization of 125 and 18 ciphers reaches only the third degree of dynamization. The 30th, thus progressively prepared, would give a fraction almost impossible to be expressed in numbers. It becomes uncommonly evident that the material part by means of such dynamization, development of its true inner medicinal essence, will ultimately dissolve into its individual spirit like conceptual essence in its crude state. Therefore, it may be considered to consist really only of this undeveloped conceptual essence. So when you prepare this medicine in this manner, when you make it so fine, 1 is to 50,000 every time, it becomes completely immaterial. It is the medicine which carries only the properties because you are giving 100 strokes, you are liberating the energy over there, energy out of that atoms, atom nucleus of the atom by the process of succussion. But this medicine carries only a medicinal property where there is not at all any material remains. It is the medicine which is spirit-like acting dynamic medicinal power and which works without causing any damage to the patient. So whole procedure of how to prepare 50 millisimal scale that he has mentioned over there in this two aphorism. In fact, in 270, the whole procedure he has mentioned, we have taken 2 days to explain that. I will share few slides regarding it. Those are shared by our teacher, Dr. D.N. Kadam sir, who is the HOD of pharmacy in our Ithape college previously. I hope those are shared. He explained each and everything, so I will share that screen, and that will be very easy to recognize how to prepare this method and how to utilize those medicine. So I will share the screen. Just go through that. That will immediately explain you exactly the preparation method. So preparation of the 50 millisimal scale potency. Mode of preparation according to the 6th edition of Organon, section 269 to 271. Pires method, he has translated Organon from section 270. Preparation of mother tincture for 50 millisimal potency. You have to first drug substance saturated up to 3C. That's what we have learned. Then conversion of 3C into a mother tincture. So that procedure is given in next slide. 1 grain of 3C is to be dissolved in 400 drops of purified water and add 100 drops of 20% alcohol. This is called as the mother potency or tincture for the 50 millisimal scale. Then this has drug power of mother potency, that is 1 by 500 into 1 by 10 raised to 6. And now the method how to prepare 0 by 1. You have to take 1 drop of mother potency plus 100 drops of strong alcohol, give 100 succussions. The potency which is prepared called as 0 by 1 or LM potency, LM1 potency. Then you have to convert it into globules form. Then you have to take 500 poppy-sized globules, standard medicated, with 1 drop of 0 by 1. So you have to put only 1 drop on 500 poppy-sized globules. That is sufficient. Then how to prepare 0 by 2? 1 globule of 0 by 1 dissolved. So out of 501 is equal to 1 by 500. 1 globule of 0 by 1 dissolved in 1 drop of purified water in new fire and 100 drops of strong alcohol added then. 100 succussions are given, gives you 0/2 or LM2. Again, you have to convert it into the globules form. In the similar manner, you have to take 500 poppy-sized globules, make add a drop of 0/2 over there. You get a globular form of 0/2 or LM2. The addition is that you have to put it immediately on the blotting paper so that it becomes dry and never gets matted. And then again you have to fill that in your bottle or wire. The preparation of the LM3, the similar procedure as for the LM2, one globule of 0/2 dissolve in 1 drop of purified water in newly filed and 100 drops of strong alcohol added, then 100 succussions gives you 0/3, and you have to convert it into the globules. So this procedure you can reach, or you can lead it up to the you have to make it up to around LM30, and this is the way you can lead. Administration of medicine. This we have to learn in further aphorisms, but just go through these 2 slides. Administration of medicine of LM potency. Mode of preparation of medicinal solution. One well-cleaned vial size of 120 ml or 160 ml or 30 ml taken vial is filled with purified water, keeping 1/4 part of vial empty. One medicated globule of selected potency is added, and add 10 or 10 for 120 ml, 8 drops for 160 ml, 5 drops for 30 ml, rectified spirit. Vial is closed tightly, marked with 16 for 120 ml, 8 for 60 ml, and 4 for 30 ml. Now medicine is ready for use. 120 ml marked 16, 60 ml marked 8, and 30 ml marked 4. Direction to the patient for taking medicine. Before taking medicine, every time 8 downward succussions for sensitive patient, 10 downward succussions for less sensitive patient, 12 downward succussions for least sensitive patient are to be given to the vial, which is containing either 116, 8, or 4 doses. 16 doses means out of 120, you have to prepare a medicine 120 ml, 16 doses from that you can prepare. So that's what the proportion which he has mentioned. After succussion, 1 dose is taken from vial which is containing 16 or 8 or 4 doses in glass, which is filled with purified water. 1/4 part of glass should be empty. 1 or 2 teaspoonful from it should be taken by the patient, and rest of the portion of the solution is thrown away. Each dose is to be applied in the same manner. So this is the direction how to take the medicine in the 50 millesimal scale. So these are the methods which are mentioned by Hahnemann in his aphorism. My suggestion to all of you that you must experiment with your own way. You have to prepare those medicines in the similar manner. But what I am doing is not the same method I used to follow, because it is quite difficult for the patient to understand and utilize. I used to make a preparation either in a big bottle for 500 ml or for 50 ml of it. Just add 5 ml of alcohol over there as a preservative. I put 1 globule saturated with sugar of milk in that, and I ask the patient to take it as per his requirement. 1 TSF, 2 TSF, depending upon condition, once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day. All those things I used to use. And every time I ask them, hello, are you getting my voice? Now is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
What I am doing, I used to put it for 50 ml or 500 ml of bottle in which I used to take water. Just add 5 ml of alcohol and I put one globule saturated in sugar of milk, dissolved in that, and I asked the patient to consume it by taking 10 succussions every time. Depending upon his condition, I ask him to take it once, twice, three times, four times. Depends. It varies from patient to patient, depending upon the severity of the patient. And that is the best method which I am following. For the patients who used to stay along, for example, many patients are from Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi. I used to prepare the doses of the 50 millisimal, 1 grain with a sugar of milk, and those powders, I asked them directly to put it in the mouth early in the morning without mixing with water every day. Or sometimes I used to ask them that put it in a glass of a cup of water, put that it, dissolve it thoroughly, and take two TSF every time by making shaking it every time, and finish that within a day. Many methods I used to use, but simple method is I'm putting it directly in the sugar of milk and ask the patient to consume daily 1 dose early in the morning, and it works beautifully. So that we have to work it out according to the utility. We can find it out the simple methods, and if it is simple, patient follows it. If it is difficult, they leaves it. So I am doing this, and it is still working, and it is still working in a proper manner. So this is the good method which I used to follow. You try it. If you feel it better, you can continue with it. So we have learned regarding preparation of 50 millisimal scale since last yesterday. Today we have finished that preparation method, and also the some how to administer in the patient. So that's all for today. Tomorrow there will be holiday. We'll meet directly on Monday because of some university work. I will not be available tomorrow. So we'll directly meet on the Monday session. Okay. So any query is there, we'll have a chat. Otherwise, we'll conclude the session. And we'll meet definitely at 9 o'clock today with remaining part of the aurum group. The three salts of aurum already we have discussed. We have to learn three more, and so that with few cases which of my OPD, so that it will be a good learning for all of you regarding the aurum group. So be there sharp at the 9 o'clock with the same ID and password, so that we can learn regarding the aurum group in last. So thank you being there. We'll conclude today's session, and we'll meet again at 9 o'clock sharp.